A very good evening to all the participants. My name is Dr. Vignesh. I'm part of the National Digital Library of India team, and we are one of the co-organizers and technical support partner for this 25th PN Panicker National Reading Digital Reading Month celebrations, along with Niti Aayog and Ministry of Education. And so we have been organizing a series of webinars on various topics related to reading, learning, digital libraries, and the importance of reading and open educational resources also. And today we are going to have our eighth webinar on digital libraries and open educational resources. And we have a very renowned resource person amongst us, Professor Madhu Parhar, who joined as the director of Commonwealth Educational Media Center for Asia. In short, we call it as CEMCA. It's one of the subsidiary institution of the Commonwealth of Learning. And she joined on the 3rd of June 2019. Earlier to this, she worked with one of the independent bodies of IGNO, that is Staff Training and Research Institute of Distance Education, that is very powerful within IGNO. And she was also the director of Stride in 2018. And she holds a PhD in education from the Jamia Millia Islamia Institution, New Delhi, and an MPhil in education from Delhi University. She did her MSc from MS University of Baroda and a B.Ed from Delhi University. Ma'am has held a number of roles in IGNO and in other institutions, including Wawasan Open University, Penang, Malaysia. And her expertise lies in educational technology, open and distance education, instructional design, and has contributed to several articles and research papers in these areas. She has also co-edited several books, including Open and Distance Education, Indian Education, Development since Independence and Education in India, Dynamics of Development. She has consulted by UNESCO on various distance education projects. And we are very pleased and happy to have Professor Parhar amongst us today. Now I invite Balagopalji to formally welcome our resource person for today's session, Professor Madhu Parhar. Over to Balagopal, sir.
Dr. Professor Madhu Parharji. Is it okay with Dr. Vignesh?
Yes, sir. It is okay, Dr. Balagopal.
Dr. Madhu Parharji, I was rushing. In fact, I had a small problem with my teeth. I had extracted today only, so because of people like you, and Vignesh told me you are one of the very important personalities of the country in education, the education sector. Not only this, IGNU. IGNU is also in heart of heart. Recently, I met your Vice Chancellor also, Trivandrum, for this stone laying ceremony of your center. He only brought the center to Kerala. In fact, I had a very big, not big, strong, what you call relations with IGNU during Dr. Rajashekharan was the Vice Chancellor. During that days, I used to come to IGNU whenever I am in Delhi. And every 10 days, I used to be at IGNU and had discussions in various bodies. In fact, along with Dr. Pillai, we introduced first time for the country, in the country also, we introduced 1,000 knowledge centers, IGNU knowledge centers, PNP knowledge centers, PN Panicker Foundation knowledge centers. And we have introduced a community college also, PN Panicker IGNU community college also. And that is a very good idea, but very good. In Kerala, we had a high response for distance education. Even now, we are having a center, distance education, and what you call in community-based education also. It had a very good curricula. They have built a very good curricula. But now, unfortunately, because of some political issues, I don't know what it has been suspended. But after that, nothing has happened. I want you to take it up again. And you being one of the renowned educationists in the country, it's a privilege for us to have you for this webinar. This webinar is every year we used to organize regular webinars. Not only every 15 days we used to webinars. Now with the focused attempt, we're doing this National Reading Day, Reading Month celebrations. And now we have completed 25th year, silver jubilee year of this reading day. And when the Prime Minister visited our institution and inaugurated the 22nd National Reading Day, Reading Month celebrations in 2027, he wanted us to take it nationally. And he also personally took it. And this year also, he wrote a beautiful message supporting us in taking this reading, adult reading to the entire country. That means these celebrations are being held in 28 states and 9 territories, and very good at now it has become one of the mass movement, the mass movement. In fact, I value IGNO's contributions for this non-formal, that is online education and informal education, and other is community-based education, etc. That is the need of the hour, because the poorest to the poor should also have the benefit of education. Then only we can achieve universalization of education. And I used to discuss with most of the your joint secretaries. Dr. Subramaniam was one of my good friend. And your present secretary also, and
I think, Mr. Balagopal, it's a bandwidth, it's a low bandwidth. So,
I value and I welcome you to this August meeting. Thank you, ma'am.
thank you, Mr. Balagopal. Um, I'm sorry that you had to extract today and you had to come hurry up and join. I know it must be very painful, but you can. I think you can be now. Yeah, now you can relax for some time and take care of yourself. So, Dr. Vignesh from National Digital Library of India, all my colleagues, 151, it's showing on the screen, on the Zoom. 151 joined from, I think, various parts of the country and from schools or higher education, and many. Many I see those who are writing on this chat, they belong to the school sector and they are the librarians. So it must be a very, very interesting topic, and that's why you all joined at this time from 6 to 6:45. I know 6 to 6:45 is a time for you all to be with your families and so on, or doing something personal, but still you all join. I think that shows your interest in this. Now, let me share my screen. Okay, can you all see the screen now?
Yes, yes, madam. Kindly go ahead.
Okay, okay, thanks, Dr. Vignesh. Okay, friends, now you know that today's topic is, or discussion, or what we are discussing is on digital libraries and open education resources. Now, give me an answer, write down on your chats, how many of you are familiar with various digital format portals, and what do you do on these digital platforms? So just write on the chat. Maybe we will be able to analyze later. So if we cannot see right now, but just write on the chat, and we will at the end maybe we'll take up few questions from there. So the point which I wanted to ask was, because we're talking about digital libraries, now you must be going to various digital platforms. Like, for example, the best example is the Amazon. All of you must be buying things, and especially during this pandemic time, must be going to Amazon and doing your shopping. Or the schools, in schools, those who are in the schools, Now, I don't know how many of you, the librarians, they are using this library digital platform. But yes, the teachers, they are teaching through online now. It is not only in the school, even in the higher education sector. So the topic what we are going to do is the digital libraries. All of you, you know what the digital libraries are. Now, my second question is, write down in the chat how many of you use digital library and why do you use digital library? And third question is, what are the main digital library platforms? If you can write it down. I cannot see here right now on the chat, but maybe Vignesh can help me out, maybe little later. But it's very important that how much you are aware. We will be doing this part little later, but it is very important and how much you already know about it. This seminar is being celebrated by the Dr. Panicker Foundation in Kerala. And as you all know, this is a week being celebrated on digital learning. So very, very important. So I'm just posing you few questions. Think of those questions and try to write it down, those questions. So first I'll ask this question, next question to you. So this digital reading week, it started, Dr. Panicker already gave, Dr. Balagupal gave a little bit of background. It started on 19 June 1996, so almost 25 years. So 2021, now we are celebrating the Silver Jubilee year. And as he informed, this is being celebrated in collaboration with Government of India, Ministry of Education, NITI Aayog, NDLI, Dr. Vignesh is representing NDLI, Government of Kerala, and P.N. Panicker Foundation, from where Mr. Balagopal is there. Now, I wanted to ask another question. Think of it, write it down in the chat. Do all of us, do you know what is our reading speed? Means in 1 minute, how many words I can read. In a page, if I don't know whether any time you calculated in a page, in a normal book page, A4 size, if you say, or the less A3 size, it's 400 words, approximately, not I'm saying. It again depends upon the point size, the font and all. But anytime, any one of you, did you found that what is your reading speed? That in 1 minute, how many words one can read? Point number one. Think of it, write down in the chat if you have answer. Second is, again, a very important, how many of us do we read books or novels or magazines out of our own school books or college books or high secondary books or our job related books, right? Think of those answers, and that will make this week very important, because this week is celebrated every year for 1 week, and we need to understand the importance of it. If I see my own, what should I say, profession or people around me, these days, reading habit, and we say that reading habit has reduced a lot, right? So you think, I don't want to get into the more detail because otherwise we will go off the track and we will not be able to finish what we are doing it right now, the subject. Think all those points, write down on your chat box that, or later or also you can find it out. So this digital reading week is being celebrated, and this is the 25th Silver Jubilee year they are celebrating. So as I said, many of you must have access digital libraries, especially during this pandemic time, after pandemic time. Not only the school librarians, but many of you, because we do it to do our research work. We do it especially when we are not able to go, the libraries are not open, the books are not available, whether it is school textbooks, so we go to NCRT library or any other thing. So there are various types of digital libraries. I will not get into again the detail of it, because my colleagues, those who are from the library background, they know. So there can be institutional repositories, there can be national library collections, there can be digital archives. So simple, if I go back little, that what do you mean by digital libraries? Library, all of us have visited. And people like me, those who are old enough, so did our PhD visiting library, and we know how we used to do the referencing. Digital has completely changed the way we learn, the way we do our academic work. So digital libraries, there are several types of digital libraries, and I'm sure all of you know about it. And as I said, few of you must have written on the chat that what are the various types of digital libraries, or which one you visit mostly. So what are the main features of the digital library? Because the discussion of today's topic is, or discussion of today's webinar is, features of digital library. So it has no physical boundary. It can preserve and conserve a lot of material, doesn't require a space. Very important. In universities or in colleges, if you remember that during the building time, you have to have a big space for a library. In schools also it is. Maybe in schools, not so much importance is given to the space, but yes, space is a very important feature of a physical library. But in a digital library, nothing of that sort. Round the clock availability, very important. The school principal, what will they say? My job is from 9 to 2:30. I close the library now, and no more access to the books. Similar is in higher education. Higher education, libraries, institutions, they will say it is 9 to 5, 5:30. No more access. Some of the libraries, maybe they are open till, like GNU library, it is open from till 8 o'clock or maybe 9 or 10 o'clock, but it is very rare. So digital library, the feature of a digital library, it is round the clock availability, and you can have multiple accesses. Multiple accesses, and the best example of it is the National Digital Library of India. So much you are available. So maybe once we come, we will know more. Digital library has very important features which a physical library doesn't have. Again, you might say, and you can write it down on your chat or in your notebooks, and you can think of it later also, you can post questions. Many people still find a physical library better than a digital library, because you go there, you find books, it is an enjoyment, meet your colleagues, sit down and refer those books, and so on and so forth. But the whole world has changed, especially the after pandemic, because the universities are closed, schools are closed. Where do you access the books and the literature? So the digital library. Now, some of the best digital libraries in the world, I'm sure all of you know, but I thought maybe I can just put it one or two, three examples on for you all to know. First is our own in India's digital library, that is National Digital Library, with whose collaboration this webinar we are doing it. Again, write it down. How many of you have visited NDLI library? How did you find NDLI library, the digital library? I will not get into the detail of it. Yes, maybe a little bit of it. Another important and a very important best digital library is the UDL, that is the Universal Digital Library. The Universal Digital Library is it is a project of the U.S. Library of Congress, and it is established with the support of UNESCO. It has archives, museums, educational institutions around the world. What do they contain? What do they have, this digital library? They have the most important cultural objects, cultural treasures, and significant historical documents are available there. So that is the Universal Digital Library. Another very important and the best, one of the best, is the World Digital Library. Now, World Digital Library was launched in 2009, so not very old. It is again a project of U.S. Library of Congress. Sorry, I was little mistaken. The UDI is the UDL is a library which captures all books in digital formats. World Digital Library is where they capture all the cultural background books. And the another one very important is iBiblio. How do you pronounce it? The library people, they know much better about it. iBiblio is again a collection of collections. So that's what the website says. It's a collection of collections, and it hosts a large range of publicly available information. So whatever publicly the information is available, they have put it on their platform or their digital portal, if you can say so. And most important part is it is an open source content. Now, there are two things. I will come on to the what are open education resources and open source. So this iBiblio is an open source content library, and it has all the subjects, right from music to literature to art to history, politics, cultural studies, and so on and so forth. So these are some of the few, I'll say, the best digital libraries. You all must go and visit these websites. And these are not the only one. There are many others, but I have just listed the best ones for your reference. Now, very important issue now is, can you copy anything from the digital library? Many of us, I'll just give you a little background. Many of us, what we do, if we have to make a PowerPoint presentation, if we have to write a research article, if we want to write a paper or any other thing, what we do, we go to the internet, Google something, you get lakhs of the information or articles on that subject, and what we do is we start copying from it. So this is a very important issue which is coming up in today's world. So copyright, you all know. So now what is copyright and digital library? Copyright, you all know the symbol C. It is like that. It means if I have written a paper and I say copyright, no one can copy it, right? So imagine in all these digital libraries which contain millions of books and articles and so on and so forth. So can you copy from there, from these digital libraries? No. The answer is definitely no. Why? We will come and learn more about it. So digitization, actually, it has completely moved the whole world. People, they are not realizing that whether the material is copyrighted or it is under the open source, open education resource, but they just copy it. And there comes the issue of plagiarism, and you don't know, maybe few of you or all of you, you know, plagiarism is a crime. People can lose jobs these days due to plagiarism. So what is a copyright? All of you, you know, copyright is that if I have written an article, you cannot copy my material. And a simple example is These days, the music, which I will not name one of the music directors, there is a lot of talk about him that he copies the music of others, and which is not a copyright. So now you will start thinking about that, how the music also has a copyright. In books, etc., you can do it. So what is a copyright? Copyright is, it is an exclusive right given to the creator. So I have created music, I have created an article, that's my copyright. So I have to protect that original word. So all of you, maybe you know, because you must have published books, and if you have seen lab, especially the library people, they know there is a symbol C and it is, everything is copyrighted. What is a copyright in a digital content now? Again, so on a digital content, what you do is you display your copyright. Go again onto the Google, search few articles on there, and go down to that article. You will see a C symbol, again copyright. You cannot copy from there. So digital content also has these copyright issues that you have to register. You don't need to register content, even display the copyright issues. Many a times, if you will go and see the digital content, there are watermarks. So you cannot do the correct. Many a time these days, when we want to copy something, and this also I have experienced, that you do a right click and then you cannot copy, or you can copy. Some authors, some articles, what they have done, they don't allow you to cut and paste, copy and paste. So all these things you will experience once. I'm sure you must have experienced, but still go to these digital content libraries, and not only libraries, otherwise also you can find it out. Licensing is another issue. How do you do copyright? Now coming to, this is an important open education resources. Point which I want to make it is, whatever material is available digitally, it cannot be copied. Majority of them, they have copyright. You cannot do it. There are copyright policies, institutions have, countries have, institutions have IPR policy, intellectual property right, countries have all those policies. So all these policies are in place, and I repeat again, if you copy from that symbol, that material, if it is copyrighted by the author, one will lose the job. The other person, if I have written and someone else, suppose Vignesh copies it, I can go to the court, and anyone can lose a job. So that's serious the crime is these days, the copyright issue. So what is the solution? So the solution is that we have our material under open education resources. And I repeat, open education resources as a term, open source as a term, all of you must have heard about it, but still, what are open education resources? The first initial definition given by William and Flora Foundation was that these are teaching and learning and research resources which reside in the public domain and released under an intellectual property license which permits their free use or repurposing by others. So that's what, in a simple language, if I say, open education resources are those materials which are lying in a public domain. Public domain are the other sources, other material is also lying in a public domain. But here it has a license. The difference between these is, if you search for something on Google, it is also in a public domain, but they have a copyright symbol at the bottom. But there are materials which has been given a license. That's called a Creative Commons license, which we'll be just learning a little bit ahead. So open education resources have become very important. And what do they include? There are courses, course material, textbooks, videos, tests, software, and so on and so forth. That's the very, very important movement which has been started. I'll not get into the details, the history of it, because maybe all of you know, or you can go to the internet. The first and the foremost, I will not get before 2012, it was started in Cape Town Open Education Declaration. But this is the most important. In 2012, the Open Education Resource Declaration was happened in Paris, and then there were since then actually. So this is a movement and innovation of the almost the 21st century, the open education resources. Now, what are these open education resources? These are the materials which are free and freely available. They are suitable for different levels of education. One can reuse it, or it can be in digital or any other medium. So these are the basically open education resources, free and freely available. It means I don't have to ask Vignesh that can I copy your material. Vignesh has written an article. If it is copyrighted, I have to go and ask him that it is a copyrighted material. Can I use it? I have to take permission. But if Vignesh releases it under a license, then and that is Creative Commons license, then I have to just acknowledge that part. So that's those are many important issues there. So what freedom the open education resource material has? You can redistribute it. Whatever I have written, I can redistribute it. It can, Vignesh can copy, Mr. Balagopal can copy, any one of you can redistribute it. Remix it. What I can do is, whatever article I have written or something Vignesh has written, I will take Vignesh and remix it in my article. That's called remixing. So there are 5 R's. Revise it. I can revise that article, retain it as it is. Suppose Dr. Vignesh has written something on, let's say, digital library. What I can do is, and he has released that in the under a license, Creative Commons license. What I will do, I completely take that and just retain it under what license he has written. He has released that. So open education resources has lots of advantages. These are the main 5 freedoms what it gives. Now, what are the uses of open education resources? It gives access to learning. Second is scalability. You can scale as much you can. Showcasing of innovation, continually improved resources, and cost effective. So this is important. Many research studies have found that out of 10 students, 7 students didn't purchase a textbook because they were expensive. So what will they do? Students in rural areas, students, those who with a low socioeconomic group, those who cannot afford textbooks, NCERT textbooks are very cheap. They are, priced at a very minimum level. But many students, if it is a private publishers, they cannot afford it. And this is what research shows. So the textbooks are posted as open education resources. Students can just download it and they can start reading. The best example of this is not only the school books, the medical and the engineering books, reference books. All of you know medical books are so expensive if we go to the market to buy. What if these books are released as open education resources and they are easily accessible to the medical students or to engineering students to learn from them? And or the authors can mix and then propose. So this is very, very important why we have to use, or this movement, the whole movement of open education resources started. So open education resources and the copyrighted material, what is the difference? Copyrighted has the C, but open education resources material, they are licensed. And these licenses are called, as I have mentioned already, Creative Commons licenses. Creative Commons is one of an NGO sort of a thing which they have come up, and it is widely accepted, those licenses which are issued by them. So basically, before we go into the what are those various licenses, we need to consider why licensing, right? Why do you have a license? Simple answer, when you drive a car or you drive a motorbike, why do you have a license? So that we know I can do something. I can drive safe. That's why it is a license. So in education also, licensing is very important, which first and foremost is there is permeate discussion and debate and on creation and reuse of open education resources. So copyright is an automatic and all right reserved. So if you go to some malls or shopping areas or picture halls, you will also see all rights reserved. It is written, so they have a right to reserve. Even in the education sector, it says copyright this article and this article. All rights are reserved with the author. So that is very important. So you have to have a licensing policy or a licensing. Creative Commons license is one organization which give you this. So the CC license is not an alternative to copyright. So copyright is, all of you know how it is mentioned. Copyright license, Creative Commons license enable creators to distribute their content to a wide audience. Suppose I have written an article, again I repeat. If I put it under license, OER Creative Commons license, anyone can take it, anyone can use it, so it is given to a wide audience. Specify the manner in which the work can be used while still maintaining their copyright. And it aims to make copyright.
Sorry to interrupt,
Yeah,
ma'am. There is a message coming on the screen. Please move this window away from the shared application. So to avoid this, can you just stop the screen and then you can click on the share screen again. Can you stop the screen, madam? Stop share.
Vignesh, I have just few slides, so and
Okay.
I will just
Sure.
share that. Can I do that?
Sure.
Just few
Sure. No
more
problem.
slides.
Take
Yeah,
care.
it's gone now.
Okay.
So maybe I don't. It just keeps coming. So okay, friends. So these are the licenses, Creative Common license. These are the six licenses. The first and the foremost is the symbol is CC, Creative Commons, and BY is attribution. These are the six licenses. It requires a lot of time to understand these licenses, but maybe just few I will just quickly go through it. The first and the foremost license is CC BY license. So this license, what it does, this license lets others distribute, remix, tweak, and build on your own work. In a simple language, if I say, what it happens is that if I have written an article, if I write CC BY underneath that article, anyone can take it. The license lets others distribute, remix, tweak. So what Vignesh can do it, completely take my article and republish it or put it in his article, but just acknowledge and release it under CC BY license. So this is the most commonly used, I think, accommodating of all licenses. It is recommended for maximum dissemination and use of licensed material. Next comes is the license is the CC BY share alike. Again, the same thing. This license, what it allows is to remix, tweak, and build upon your work for commercial purpose. This is very important. The earlier one was not for commercial purpose, but this you can do it for your commercial purpose, often compared to copyleft free and open source software. This point is important that whatever new work is created, like what Vignesh has created a new article, will be based on yours and will carry the same license. So any derivatives will also allow commercial use used by Wikipedia. So that is important. And the third is because these are actually the licenses are very difficult to understand firstly, but once you understand, it becomes very easy. The third is attribution, non-commercial, share alike. Creative Commons attribution is there. It is non-commercial, NC, and share alike. So what does this license help us to do? This license lets others remix, others means Vignesh, for example. Remix, tweak, and build upon your own work non-commercially. That's very, very important. Important, right? As long as they credit you and license their new creations under the identical terms. So that is what. So these are the licenses which you can use it when you may want to make your material as open education resources. These are the 6 licenses. I didn't go into the rest 3 because I know it requires a lot of time to understand. So CCBY is the most open license which anyone can use it. And this CCBY NCND non-derivative is the least open license. So it means you are not sharing your material, whether it is book, whether it is article, whether it is video, whatever it is, with anyone. So people try to use, or many of them, this movement, whole movement has started that it's CCBY, share alike, it is done. I will not get into these various digital formats. If I just give an example of National Digital Library, Vignesh will correct me. But if I go to the National Digital Library, which has lots and lots of books on school education, higher education, various subjects, various languages, but if you scroll down to the web page of the home page of the National Digital Library, you will see a copyright symbol. So it means no one can copy from there. But if you enter into it, into the National Digital Libraries, some of the videos, like if some of the videos which IIT Bombay has created, they are free to use, they are under Creative Commons, they are under OER. So many organizations actually are struggling with this. Another example is this virtual labs. Virtual labs, again, it is a very, very important concept, which is a Ministry of Education's pet project. And it has become popular because the pandemic, all schools, especially it is very applicable for schools. Schools, laboratories are closed. In science subjects, physics, chemistry, biology, students need to do experiments. How do they do it? How do they understand the titration and how the electricity flows from one end to another? So virtual labs are the only thing. So virtual labs, actually, they are under OER, all these experiments, and one can use it. So these are various digital, what should I say, platforms where you can find copyrighted material as well as open source materials. The last slide is the digital libraries are the future. Why I say the digital libraries are the future? This pandemic is not going to go anywhere in the next 1 year. So what it is, the best is schools will remain closed. Maybe they will open, but again, it will be a social distancing. Teachers will go and say students should maintain distance and so on and so forth. So what is the best is that I sit at home comfortably and I access to these digital libraries, and that's what the future is all about. Thank you so much. This was a topic, a very interesting topic, because I am not a library person, a digital library. I'm just a user of these digital library platforms. That's it. So I went through that whatever is available on NDLI, on these other platforms, the various repositories. If you will see, many universities or colleges, schools, they don't have. Many universities, they have their own repository. Repository means they put all their learning material onto that. For schools for school librarians, because many of you belong, or many of you are attending are from the school sector. If you see NCRT books, textbooks, they are on their repository. Anyone can download that book but they are not under open education resource. It means you cannot copy from them. It is only downloadable, but not, it cannot be copied. That I can copy all the 9th standard chemistry book from there and make my own book. It cannot be done. But yes, that much freedom NCRT has given, that you can download that book, because again, books are not available, they are expensive. Students from where they will get it? So these are downloadable. Digital libraries are the future. So such a beautiful physical library, I would love to go there, but I have a computer and a mouse or a laptop. I can access this library onto my computer and can read whatever I want. Thank you so much with this, and because I think it's almost the time. If one or two
So we
questions,
have
if
we
we
have
have,
we have already a few questions lined up for you, madam. So it was a very perfectly
yeah, there.
organized session. We all enjoyed. First question is from, I think she started. Many of the participants have responded to your earlier questions also. And first question is from Miss Seema. So her question is, when we download books from open sources or open educational resources, any copyright issue if we circulate it to the students?
Yeah, again, I say that please see that it is or it has a Creative Common license. If it is that copyright material, you cannot do it, except maybe just for internal circulation. Many times what people they have seen they do is, like for a training program, if I want to, you all are there, I want to give some article which is very good published in a magazine or in a newspaper, so I will just write it down for internal publication and I will give the source. Always acknowledge the author, acknowledge the source, and write it down, so that we don't have that issue of plagiarism. But for larger, you can copy and you can put it in your name, that cannot be done. Definitely, that cannot be.
So the next question is from Ms. Sapna. Do even YouTube videos are under copyright?
Some of them they are, yes. Earlier, what we used to do, I still remember, sometimes even I used to do it, that YouTube videos, I used to put it on my PowerPoint presentation to make it more interesting, my presentation. But then YouTube became much smarter. So what happened is that they said nothing. It cannot be downloadable. But yes, some of the YouTubes are downloadable. They are under Creative Common license. They are not copyrighted, so those can be good. But I must tell you this point, which I think if you need another session with us. If you go to the Google search, under the Google search, if you will find there are several repositories which are called OER repositories, video repositories which are OER. All of you, you are smart enough and you go and search it. Just type that OER videos OER. You will find several, and then you can use those for your students or for your own presentations or for anything you want.
So this is the my last question from Mr. Guldeep Swami. His question is: can we share the magazines like newspaper articles with the students?
Again, I say, please go below, just below that article. If it is copyrighted, you cannot do it. You cannot do it, except that maybe one page for a limited circulation, and that to write it down, acknowledge it. You cannot do it unless and until it has a CC Creative Common license symbol.
Sure.
So, I mean, it is a very important point which all of you teachers need to understand. I mean, we also earlier what the teachers in higher education also used to do, cut and paste. And especially if I have seen, if I can tell you my own experience in open universities, if if people they are writing down the course material, they used to just cut and paste. These days, what we have done in the universities, we have the software, plagiarism software, even the research thesis. Vignesh will accept that. Even now, what University Grants Commission has done, that if one submission of a research thesis, you have to give the certificate that it is your own work and it is not plagiarized. I think only 10% you can copy if that gives the result. So if it is copied, your thesis is cancelled. But before cancellation, these days you have to give that declaration or a certificate.
Sure. So thank you so much, madam. There are still many questions coming in, but I think due to time limitation, we can't take all of them. We once again thank you for taking out time from your schedule and being with us. I think today we have 281 participants here, another 50, 60 participants in our YouTube channel. So I think all of us got benefited from your session. And we once again thank you for your valuable time and sharing your knowledge with us. Thank you so much, madam.
Thank you, Vignesh, and thank you to all of you, those who have joined. I cannot see each one of you, cannot talk. That's for me, the disadvantage of to go to online. If face to face, I could have seen at least, and maybe with few of you interacted and had fun. But online, this platform doesn't, it allows, but if 285 or to see everyone and to ask questions, Vignesh have to do a lot of juggling around. So thank you each one of you.
Thank you, madam.
Bye.
So participants, I have just shared the feedback form URL in the chat box. In case if you have already registered, you can directly submit the feedback form. And suppose if you have not yet registered for this session, kindly register yourself first and then submit the feedback form. Once you submit the feedback form, you will be able to download the certificate of participation directly from the event website. At the bottom itself, you will get the option to download the certificate. And tomorrow we have the session on need for revamping the school education through friendly approaches using digital technologies from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. And that is going to be taken by Shri M.A. Baby, who is the Politburo member of CPI-M. And he spoke to us last year also. He's going to be there this year. And tomorrow he's going to speak on this topic of need for revamping the school education through friendly approaches using digital technologies. And you can join this session tomorrow. You can register by using this URL, and kindly install the NDLA mobile app and share it with your friends, family members, and relatives. That's my humble request to each one of you. And also, like these days, there are a lot of people who are using the NDLA resources. Thanks to all of you, we could see at least some, say, 10,000 to 20,000 people logging in. So that's wonderful news to hear from you. And also, like kindly, if you have like if you want to enroll for any Commonwealth of Learning scholarship for the Skills for Work scholarship, kindly enroll. So KDS is one of the partners who is implementing this program in India. So kindly take part in that also. And for our YouTube viewers, I'm just going to comment the URL, put the URLs for feedback form in the comment box. So kindly wait for